a sketching tool for crafting dynamic and interactive illustrations. Let's take a look at an illustration created by our system. We have a scene telling a story about a hungry cat, a cook, and a few miserable eggs. To add motion to individual objects, we first lasso the associated strokes. This creates an object. Animation effects can then be added with direct manipulation. We then add a soup splash with an emitting texture by sketching example strokes, an emitter, and motion paths. Let's add an oscillating texture for the fire in the burner by sketching example strokes and a brush skeleton, and add granular motion by directly manipulating one of the example strokes. Another emitting texture is now added for the steam. We now have a dynamic scene, but we also want to make it interactive. We will first specify a translation path for the egg and draw a mask to hide the egg behind the pot. In the interaction mode, we can now move the egg along the translation path. Because we want the soup to splash only when the egg hits the surface, we need to create a functional relationship. To create such relationships, we switch to a graph mode. A path creates a relation between the eggs and splash. Radial menus display all of the attributes associated with the two nodes in the relation. We can then specify the translation of the egg and the emission frequency for the splash. The user can then sketch a function to coordinate the position of the egg with the emission of the splash. Let's switch to interaction mode to see the resulting effects. The splash now occurs when the egg hits the surface. Similarly, we create relations from the rotation of the knob to the size of the fire, and to the flickering of the fire. Another relation associates the granular motion of the fire to the emission of the steam. More fire creates more steam. After several additional effects are added, this is the final illustration. Turning the dial on the stove increases the flames and the pot boils rapidly. When the egg falls in the pot, the water splashes and the cat is disappointed. And here is the associated graph. We've created a dynamic and interactive illustration with Kitty. Consider this animated infographic, where we want to visualize the weather condition based on the actual forecast data of the whole week, including snowfall, wind, and average temperature. We sketch a relation from the calendar to the snowfall, and use the snowfall data to update the rate of snowfall. The function is generated from the external data. We use the wind data to update the speed of the wind, and create a relation from the wind to granular motion of the snow. Looks like our upcoming week is cold and windy. Consider this comic strip. We can consolidate it into a single dynamic illustration. This technical illustration shows how a mechanical bell operates. When the button is pressed, the contacts are closed. Current flows through the electromagnet, producing a magnetic field. This field attracts the iron armature, making the hammer strike the bell. Looks like our monsters are having a feast. Will they have a delicious meal tonight? Or will the dragon mother be able to save her child? This is left to the children's imagination.